Anthony Alvarado and Monte, Reyment to the stage. Woo!
I'll take this one. I'll take this one.
All right. Thank
kinda
you
cool.
so much for
Man,
the intro.
we get to sit down while everybody else can stand for an hour, so this is all right.
It's a very David Letterman kind of who's my next guest feel right now.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I'm going to turn my chair just a hair.
Just so we can look at each other.
Because it's going to be weird a little bit. We're going to get you guys involved at some point.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
For right now, we're just going to kind of really start off
Just like we
our
normally
podcast, right? So
Yeah.
should we start?
Let's start. Let's do it.
All right, what's up, y'all? This is the It's Your Neighbor podcast. I'm Monte Reyment here live at Stadium View for our first ever on-site podcast.
Yeah, let's get some crowd interaction. First level.
Let's go. And I got my co-host, my dog.
Anthony Alvarado's in the house, and I am so grateful to be here. This is It's Your Neighbor Podcast, episode 25, coming to the Rise Up Experience, Rise Together Conference. Can I hear you? And so today we're going to be talking about what is the meaning of home and community. And I know that means something to each and every one of us today. We're going to talk a little bit about mission, vision, purpose, and some of the challenges we face as entrepreneurs and in real estate, because we know there's plenty of them in the market today.
100%.
And on top of that, we're going to be able to carve out some time at the end to do a little turnaround that we do every time on the podcast.
Flip it.
And we're going to flip it over to you guys, and you're going to get a chance to answer us questions. So let's do
You
some
guys
house-
get to be the host.
Yeah, exactly. And this is going to be on Spotify next week. We'll be dropping it Wednesday. So if you want to listen to podcasts on the road, you guys will be in this podcast with us. So thank you so much. It's Your Neighbor Podcast at tarealitygroup.com. So with that being said, I think I'm just going to kick it over to you because, to be honest with you, I mean, Take Action Realty is really the core genesis idea coming from your brain,
Right.
and your wild idea to do something different and innovative within the real estate market. Where did that come from, and how are you still showing
Yeah,
it
I mean,
today?
obviously the origin story is important, and I was thinking about this because I know we had prepped a little bit before we got started, and it goes back to way before I even made the switch to real estate. I started in real estate in 2018. My little brother, Corey, was already pretty well into real estate at that point. He had been pushing me, you need to get an investment property, and you know, I always wanted to, but I was like, nah, I was scared like everybody else, right?
Right.
Like, I'm gonna come, and at that time, there's like $50,000 properties that were cash flowing, and I'm like, Becky'll be the first to tell you, like, $50,000 property, let's go. That's why she's got all of her money, because she was buying all that stuff when it was really low. So
Let's go.
So I guess my point was I was working in college sports, and I was a mentor. So I was helping, my job was to help student athletes connect with college coaches. And over the course of 10 years, I had spoken and hopefully empowered a large majority of those, but I had educated about 10,000 student athletes over 10 years. I got to the point our company got a little bit more money driven. There's shareholders involved, and it became more about money than it was about kids and getting there. I also realized that college isn't for everybody. So my job every day was to push kids to put college on a pedestal, and it's not for everyone. You don't, you're not deemed successful in life because you went to college. Nobody cares, right? Like, they care how you feel and how you treat them. So for me, that stuff was what I was talking every single day. And at the end of the day, I stopped believing in it. And then I got into real estate. And then I realized I can do the same thing in real estate. I can empower people in real estate. And everybody wants to buy that property. Everybody wants to buy their own house. I get so many people who are wannabe real estate investors who say, I want to buy that duplex. And I'll go through the motions of, yeah, let's go. I'll teach you how to do it. I'll teach you exactly. And they never do it. And so the Take Action name really became forcing me to not be hypocritical of the messages that I was sending out. You know, like, I was like, hey, I want to do real estate. My brother's pushing me. I want to do it. And until you actually buy that first property, you really have never done it. And that's anything in life.
That's anything in life. I mean, who here, raise your hand if you felt that way before you wanted to start something real big, you just weren't sure, right?
Right.
We have that all the time. Yeah, absolutely.
And the first step is the hardest.
Yeah.
But then I got into it. And then a past co-host of mine, who he was a marketing assistant of mine, came to my house. We were sitting in the backyard, and I was at a different brokerage, obviously, because you have to start at a different brokerage in order to open your own. And he goes, "What should we call our team?" I'm like, "Call it Take Action Real Estate." And he was like, "All right, let's go."
Let's go.
And we actually had a podcast previous to this as well, based on just the mentality of taking action in your life. And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be real estate related, obviously. If you want to make a change, you have to do something about it. In order to do it, it's simple. Take action. Do it. Like Nike built a brand on just do it. I'm building a brand on just the same thing. It's called take action.
Yeah, literally going out there and executing, right? Because at the end of the day, as entrepreneurs and as business leaders and as people that are out there doing passionate things, ultimately at the end of the day, regardless of what other people think, regardless of what your background is, if you have a drive to do it, showing up every single day, even when you take 2 steps back, we can always jump forward, right?
100%.
And so from that, I know you personally, where is this coming from where you wanted to create this space to let people to be seen and find a way to take care of themselves and their family?
I love people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's simple. Like, I love people. And for me, having that 10,000 conversations with kids morphed into real estate. And obviously, my messaging doesn't affect every single person. A lot of people aren't patient enough to do the work long enough to be successful enough. And so with the kids, it was instant gratification nearly, where it was a semester at a time. So I would have a conversation with a kid. I would tell a kid, listen, like, you're a good athlete, but you don't have the grades, you don't have the character. Like, no college coach is going to recruit you with a 2.0 GPA. And a lot of times there's things happening in their lives. And in the reality of the world, we can care about somebody, but if we don't know them, do we really care? And I had to tell those kids that's reality. That's a dose of human beings, right? So if you have a problem, you have to fix it yourself. You can find a team. You can find a family. You can find a community. People like this, these people help. But if you're just sitting there by yourself, and until you actually take that first step, that's where things change.
Exactly. Like, have you tried your hardest yet was a message that was received yesterday. I was, just sitting here listening to some unbelievable speakers and just going out and doing something, coming from places of trauma, coming from places of hardship, coming from places of nothingness, and saying, hey, I'm going to try to create something different because I know it is personally driving me. So for example, for myself, coming from a quote unquote, let's say a home that often was riddled with addiction and mental illness, and home looked quite a bit different for me growing up. And a lot of those places that we call safe at home didn't feel that way for a majority of my upbringing. So trying to find what the meaning of home is today, it's way more than just selling homes. Right? Well, it's way more than just selling a house.
It really is. And that's our full circle, right?
Yeah.
Like with Ash, that was a great intro, by the way. Thank you so much. But like Ashley's situation and the place she was at that time, I didn't know she existed as a human being. I got a call from her realtor saying, this woman's going to move to Kentucky for a month. I'm down to my last $1,000 because I had a bunch of vacant houses that I was flipping. And she said, we need to move closing out 2 weeks. And I said, no, we have all the contingencies met. Everything's done. I need a little context. And as soon as she called me back and told me Ashley's story and what was going on, first of all, I knew that that moment, Ashley was a human being. I didn't know her before that because, like she said, her dad was the one that did the offer. But it wasn't a hard decision. It was the right decision. It was an easy decision. My financial situation could take a hit for another month until that property closed. I was fine with that, and we worked it out. But at the end of the day, it was the right thing for her. I needed to get her into a safe place that night within hours to make sure that she was better. And then she did exactly what she's done over the last 3 years, and she took action on her life. And that's full circle. Your story.
Yeah.
Let's go to you. You're not. You can be Letterman all you want, but
yeah.
I'll be Fallon then. So let's go.
I kind of feel like a veteran too, like Letterman. Just being on stage for the last almost 12 years in the community. I'm traveling the country. We just wrapped up a 26-city tour with my nonprofit. I started this job as CMO this last year, and literally helping to build Take Action as a brand, mission, vision, coming alongside the team, helping realtors find their voice. I've worked with over 300,000 young people, and I could have never imagined as an educator, a facilitator, as an instructor, as a teacher that I would be out here teaching realtors how to find their voice, just like I taught thousands of young people how to find theirs. But I know that no matter where I go, wherever I show up, the reason is because I know my why. And my why is that I am here to share my story so other people can find their voice. And that is something that I believed in since the very beginning, because there's been plenty of times while I was at home where I didn't feel like I had a voice. Because the things of chaos and the things of tragedy and things of trauma and abuse that were going on was one of those things that kept me silent for so long. And so it wasn't that long ago that I went out and said, hey, I'm going to do something about the things, the chaos and the mess in my own life, and I'm gonna start getting help. And taking the first step for me was taking a first step in recovery 15 years ago. And so with that, struggling with suicidal ideation, struggling with anxiety, struggling with depressive moments, those things still riddle me to this day. In fact, I'll share a little story with you because I'm a storyteller and it's my job to tell stories. And so with that, I was very emotionally hijacked yesterday because of all things. Because my life is just completely changing and shifting in like platonic shifts that are just so deep to my soul. I am now able to say, like, I've been working in marketing and advertising and business management for 15 years and I'm finally a CMO. I have been doing my nonprofit for 10 years and finally we are getting requests all around the country and we will go out and teach the next group of speakers to do the thing. I am literally saying that I was never, ever going to get engaged again. And my fiance is sitting in the back right there with the camera and with the baby and having a baby this year. Come on, I mean,
Give it up.
let's go.
Give it up.
And so with that being said, like, you know, like as a creative and as a storyteller and as a person that just wants to go and do something, sometimes that something is unknown, right? And so for me, I remember before I met you, and this, I'll bring this full circle.
Full circle.
What I remember.
That's our logo. By the way, our logo, we didn't know it when we did it. We just thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
It's come to symbolize, it's a circle of fire.
It's a circle of, I like that. Just a little Jim
That
Morrison.
just came to me, by the way.
A little Morrison right
It's
there.
a circle of fire.
Ring of fire. Okay, all right. Here we go. I don't know where I'm at, but here we go. We're gonna get back into it. So we're gonna bring this full circle. So the moments of creativity, I know deep down in my heart, and I know this resonates with each and every one of you because we're here for a reason, and I have to get this message across. There are moments in my life in the last 5 years I felt like I was dying. Dying. I lost my son in 2020. And I never thought I would get out of that darkness. And I'm here, right now, with the mess, with the heartache, with the tears that have come into this room this morning with my fiance, just sharing where I'm at. My life is so good, and it scares me. And it's so powerful, and I can feel it in my soul that I'm put around the right people. And so out of the want and the desire to create, because my heart can no longer ignore that I'm an artist deep down inside. The very first thing I remember that somebody was like, you're good, was at the art that I did and the things I would say and how I was able to connect with anybody, even since I was a small little boy. And I wanted to do that. And so I took my camera everywhere and I just took pictures. And now, besides stage, I'm now finding my voice not with a mic, but with a camera. And I'm capturing stories that are putting people in an ability to share their voice. But as a creative, if there's creatives in the room, and I know there is, Tay, where you at? Sometimes the bills got to get paid. And out of frustration and out of like traveling the country as a photographer and as a speaker, that kind of was turning into a hobby. And I was also dealing with an immense amount of grief. And so out of frustration, I woke up one day pissed, angry, upset. Anybody be there? Anybody? Right?
I'm never pissed.
Like, why can't I get an interview? Why isn't nobody paying attention to my work? I am showing up every single day. And I applied for a photographer position as a real estate photographer, have no experience. I get a call, and I go into an interview, and by the end of that conversation, it felt more like family. And by the time I hit that driveway that day from Green Bay to Appleton, I had another call from their team inviting me to come back to talk about one of the biggest opportunities in my life. And I was taking on a new role, which I knew I would always do, because ever since I started my organization, which is also called Rise Together, full circle, which also we had Take Action programs, full circle. And so with that being said, what I figured is that this is the thing that I've been saying for the last 10 years, that at my 10-year mark, I will stop doing something to open the doors for something else. Can I hear you? Yeah. And this is that. This is it.
I think one of the funniest moments of that whole thing, first of all, we were doing a lot of listings, and so we're like, it was a money thing. It was like, hey, we need to find a photographer that can just go to houses, because our subcontractor is amazing, but we're paying him a ton of money. I'm like, we just need a guy. Like, we just need somebody we can send out there whenever. and do this. And so he applies, and I'm like, shit, how are we gonna afford this dude? Like, he sends in his resume. He's doing the speaking stuff. He's a photographer. He's a storyteller. He's writing books. He's an author. I'm like,
I'm writing curriculum.
I went to Rob. I'm like,
good.
well, let's bring him in and see what happens. But I don't think he's gonna take the job.
It was the right day. You ever get that? You ever get in a room and you think you don't know what's going to happen and you're like, I'm just going to go to it just because nothing's going to... You know how many times I've heard people say that about this? There's something I actually didn't say before I want to come back to so I don't forget.
Okay.
And I know we're live.
Go ahead.
So this is just like free. Like, let me script.
Let's go. This is what we do anyway.
Right.
We just do it behind
This is us,
we just
right?
edit it out later.
But I
We won't
wanted
be able to do that now.
I wanted to call out to you guys because you're also listening. But I also want to say my thank you before we get into kind of like some of the rest of the thing that's hearing from you. Emotional hijack. Came in yesterday. I was a mess. I was angry. I got crabby with you. I got crabby with the team. I got irritated really easily.
That's your crabby?
Yeah, I know, right?
We're gonna be all right.
Not too bad. But inside, it felt like a tornado. And I was like, holy shit, I'm spiraling, right? I'm like, just calm down. Just use the tools, right? Take a breath. Check in. Start being present. And almost immediately, somebody that is close to me came up to me, who's holding my son right now, and she just started lighting me up for no reason. I didn't even expect it. And it was just like, hey, I know you, I see you. I remember a year ago when you sat down at CES in Little Chute and you were talking about taking this job with Take Action, and you were like, I don't know, maybe. I'm a storyteller. What do they need a speaker for? I've done marketing, but I'm not a marketing guy, I'm an artist. So I approach it way different than everybody else. And like, I don't like rules. I've been working for myself for 10 years. I'm working from home. I don't want people to tell me what to do.
I'm a dick.
And, you know, Korean's like, you know what? You're putting that hat on to be the most creative version of yourself. And I see you. Keep doing you. I see you. I love you. This is it. Do it. Keep showing up. And I just want to thank you for that. And then I came in today kind of feeling a little jumped up about this because, you know, you feel normally anxiety-ridden when you jump into a live session. And I had somebody else come up to me and say, I really appreciate the work that you've been doing for the last 10 years. You've been showing up everywhere. I see you everywhere. You're part of our community. Thank you for making it a better place to live. So I just want to thank you. That's it.
Nice job.
Thank you.
As I was saying, I think it goes without saying, though, is when you get somebody talented, especially in the role that I'm in right now, we're in a startup. We're a year in.
Yeah.
As of
I've been with like 8 months.
what's today's the 13th, right?
Yeah, so we're
Holy
gonna.
shit! It's 1 year exactly since we bought our building.
What?
Yeah.
Get out of here. 1 year, let's go. We couldn't have planned that any better.
And on the 19th is our 1 year anniversary. So
Full circle.
Thanks, Jenna.
Rings of fire all day.
So there's a whole story with me and Jenna.
Next
too.
conference, I want fire on this
We're not going to go there today. But I think it goes without saying, too. I think the important thing is in the role that I'm in is, one, I have monster dreams. And I said this last week on our podcast, and I was proud of myself because it was kind of profound. But I said, when you go out and do this, I bought this big building with 11,000 square feet when it was me and Kevin and 2 other people that came from the brokerage that I was at. And like, they're like, what are you going to do with all this space? And I said, fill it. We're going to fill it with either our agents, we're going to fill it with other clients, and we're going to rent it out, but we're going to fill this thing, and we're going to be the best brokerage that we possibly can. Now, going along quickly, I can have all the talent in the world as an individual and a person who can sell houses, and I'm very good at selling houses. However, I cannot build a huge business without an amazing team. And so when you have a talent, Rob was one of my first guys that I recruited, and I recruited him hard. He actually denied me the first time, said, this isn't your job.
Where are you, Rob?
He's back there, Sasquatch back there.
Yeah, let's go.
There he is.
There
Give
he
Rob,
is.
hey, give Rob a round of applause. Rob's actually our producer as well.
Yeah, he like literally keeps the lights on. I mean, honestly, like
No, he is.
He is awesome.
I saw a role for him,
Thank
and
you, Rob.
I didn't know what it was at the time, but I knew I wanted that guy on the roster. He's uber talented. He's the best supporter. He's not a guy
And
that's
he's
gonna.
hilarious.
He's super hilarious. He's not a guy that's gonna come up here and do what we're doing.
Yeah.
He just knows that. We know that. He knows that. But he's the best support that I could have had, and I knew that from the second when I wanted it. I knew he was in a bad spot too, so I got him out of that too. But that was it. And then he did the thing with Anthony, and then Jenna came back. I took a Jersey Mike sub to get her to come back, but it worked. It's true. She was on my team before, new mom, all sorts of things going on. Didn't want any more changes, but I'm so thankful she did. Then all of a sudden Ashley shows up, and then our workforce increases by like 4 people immediately because she's who she is. But my point is this: is in order to be the best in an industry, you can't do it alone.
Yeah.
And you can have these huge dreams. And I think what I said last week, and I want to see if I can say it the right way again, is if you don't make your dreams big enough, you're never going to get full. If you dream too small, you'll always be hungry.
Oh. Can I get some finger snaps for that? Let's go.
So that's how I've decided to do it. And, you know, Clay was back there this morning showing 19 slides to me, so thanks, Clay. And I was back there. By the way, Clay, tagline I thought of after I left is, I am a stranger who allows other strangers into their homes and guides them around. So that's my new tagline.
So just for meat and potatoes, I think, why don't you just give us like a 100,000-foot view of Take Action?
Yeah.
What are we doing right now?
I mean, at this point we're selling a lot of houses, but we're much bigger than that. Like, and that was what I wanted. I think if you're a real estate brokerage in a community, and this was where Take Action Realty Group started, was being bigger than just somebody who sells a house in the neighborhood. We want to impact the community. If we're going to live there, we're going to sell houses. We need to be a bigger part of that community because, one, I'm 100% against being a charlatan. Like, I'm just, one of the things that always makes me icky. How many people in here bought a house? Right, you all bought a house. All right, awesome. Home ownership's amazing, right? Now, you guys went through this whole process with your agent, right? You got, for whatever reason, it might have been a friend, somebody that was referred to you, whatever reason. How many times did you get to the closing table and you're there, you hug with your agent, and then you never hear from them again? Let me see a show of hands. Or until you need to buy another house, right? Right? Quite a few. That always left me icky. It's like, it was so disingenuous. Like, I pretended to be your best friend just to get you to closing day so I could collect that closing check, and then, well,
that's it.
See ya.
Yeah.
It's like a one-night stand.
Yeah.
Right? And
I don't know what those are, sir. I don't.
It's been a very, very long time for me.
It's been a very long time. I have babies and children.
Right. Well,
Babies
that's how
and
the
children.
feeling is, right? Everybody's icky after that. It's like, oh, shit. I made a check. I'm up.
Baby.
And adult. Baby
Yeah,
and adult.
I
Maybe
do.
it's gonna be like, maybe that's not true if there's babies.
Yeah,
Well-
don't do that.
Let's keep that down. So my point is this, is we wanted to do something different. So we created what we call Lifetime Home Support, or VIP. So on closing day is the hardest day, right? It's stressful. Like, you've done all the work, but now you got to move all your stuff from one building to another. And that might be 2 miles, it might be 200 miles. So I'm like, you know what? What's the most stressful thing? Asking your friends who have a truck. And that person who has a truck, every single time is the guy that gets asked to help you to move.
That was me once.
I almost thought about not having a truck.
Yeah, exactly. I would switch the
Just
cars.
for that reason. So what we decided to do is give our clients a truck on moving day. That eliminates the stress of having a friend who has a truck, right? And then sometimes people have backyard parties. Some people have tools that they need. So we created a tool shed. We created a party supply. So if you have a backyard party and you're a client of ours, you just come and check our stuff out for free.
Yeah.
So it's giving more after the fact. And now we have some cool events that we're doing. Anthony and Nadine are running those. Rob's running support on all that, like all things Take Action. I'm sure Ashley's going to be more in the fun cousin of Take Action Realty Group's going to be doing all those things. So
Breathwork on Friday.
breathwork
That's right.
on Friday. So all of those things being said,
Cook out on Saturday. It's on your table.
Yeah, providing more value than just being that guy that can get you to the closing table. Almost anybody, any realtor for the most part, can get somebody from contract to close. And if they can't, their broker will get them there. But it's what are you doing afterwards to maintain relationships? And I think that's every business. That's how we're generating our business. And we just want to be different. We don't want to be the, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am,
Let's go.
see you later kind of guy.
Well, speaking about quick service, are you ready for a speed round that I'm going to surprise you with?
Oh, come on now. I'm a little long-winded though, so.
Well, that's all right. So
Let's
we're
go.
going to try to do this in 5 minutes.
Okay.
And because we have probably about 20 minutes left. Yes, so you got me. I'm a pro, so
Hey,
let's
this
go.
guy speaks, guys.
I do this for a living.
This is my second one.
Yeah.
So.
So for that, while we're doing this speed round, you guys are gonna maybe write down some questions, and let's get them in the middle table so we can at least answer, I don't know, 4 or 5 questions for the last 15 minutes. So let's go ahead and do that. So with that being said, I'm going to hit up the questions that everybody is asking. What is happening with interest rates? I heard they might have dropped. What's going on?
Yeah, they dropped a little bit. So if you're looking to buy, get in now.
Yep.
I'm always on the, first of all, guys, the real estate industry, values never drop. Or if they do, it's for a very short time. So trying to time out when there's going to be housing crisis, not a good thing. Right now there's a housing shortage. There's not a crisis coming at any point. Our crisis is really affordable housing.
Yep.
And so if interest rates drop, that's only going to raise home values. So the best thing to do now is buy, and then if interest rates drop, refinance. That's the best way to do it, because you're not going to get the house at a lesser value.
And you can check out the lending episode on It's Your Neighbor Podcast. That's a good one to reference. And also, It's Your Neighbor Podcast is on episode 25, so we are sharing real estate information. Another question.
Okay, let's go.
I saw that Washington Post put out a thing that the market's changing and people are leaving the market. What's going on with that?
I don't know.
You know?
I didn't hear anything about that around here.
Well,
So maybe on the coasts.
Yeah.
I think, certainly the coasts are different, and our friends out in San Diego and on the East Coast can probably speak to that a little bit more than what I can. I mean, I'm honed in here.
yeah.
Nothing's changing here. I mean, it's still, there's, buyers and sellers, and the market's moving, relatively normally.
And it's different when you show up authentically, right? I mean, when you're building relationships, obviously that's going to be your network,
Yep.
and so building on that.
Yeah, I
is gonna
can't
be key.
speak on what's happening in California or Texas or
Exactly.
Florida or wherever. I
Exactly.
can only speak on what's here.
With short-term rentals and renovations being a focus of yours,
Yep.
if people are out there looking to get into that, what would you say?
Know your market, know the local municipality rules, because not every township, city is different. Right here, Lombardi Avenue divides minimum stays. So if you're on the north side of Lombardi and you're in Green Bay, you need a 2-minute
Thank you.
or a 2-night minimum stay is allowed. You get south of it and you're in Ashwaubenon, it's 6 or 7 nights. So that's important.
With last question, I saw this morning, and maybe we don't know anything about it, but I think it's good awareness. Grant Cardone was saying that we might be going into a recession, and that real estate's going to be a good market to get into from a retail and a commercial standpoint. Do you know anything about that or want to add to that?
Real estate is always a good market to get into.
And why do you say that?
Because it's proven over time, since the history of time,
Yeah.
it's the best investment. Unless you have a really good money manager, you absolutely know what you're doing with stock market and everything else like that. And I don't know anything about the stock market. I took all of my money out because I don't want to watch it all the time. My parents were close to retirement a few years ago, and all they did was bitch every day about how the market would fluctuate. And I don't want to have that. I like being happy and content.
Well, that's awesome, because we'll bring it home then. With being a first-time home buyer, I'm going to be out there looking for my first home to buy, so we can have a place for Aiden. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And what kind of advice would you give to other first-time home buyers?
I mean, first-time home buyers, one, talk with your lenders first. There's a lot of really great grant programs out there. There's a lot of really, understand you need to have your money right, but there's a lot of low down payment programs. WIDA's very good. Some are even at 0% down. So I would definitely say if you're renting and your rent's high and you want to, jump into home ownership, get out there and do it. Talk with the lender first before you go to an agent, and then start interviewing the agents who are going to have your best interest. This goes for anybody who's maybe on their second, third home. Watch for commission breath. That's one of the big things.
What does that mean?
That just means, does that agent have your best interest or their financial interest in hand before you go out there? So
Awesome.
yeah.
Are you ready for
Do
it?
I get to ask you questions?
Sure.
Let me ask.
All right.
All right. Okay, this is a good one because this is real estate related.
Awesome.
So let's see where you're at. After 7 months of tutelage, 8 months of tutelage, tell me why I should get an investment property, Anthony.
Well, I think at the end of the day, just like our cabin property, an investment property is something that will literally build equity over time and will always be a security for you. Me and my brothers own a property, and so investing in that makes sense. It's like taking good care of yourself. You invest in yourself, you get a high return.
I'll let you ask that one.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yes.
Outstanding. You can ask the next one.
How did you start investing in real estate with $0?
Oh, great question. So you can do this. Up until probably, and I'm sure Becky could talk about this too, but up until about 2 years ago, I had acquired about $2 million in properties without any of my own money out of pocket. So it's not as easy as as it thinks. Sometimes you got to get lucky, but equity is a big deal. So what I didn't do in real estate for my first 3 years was I didn't take any money out. I just kept reinvesting it into my businesses. So equity, does everybody know what equity is? Basically, it's your loan to the current value. So that difference, a lot of times, there's something called a BRRRR strategy. So give you an example. You can buy let's say you find a property, it's worth, easy numbers, $100,000, right? You aren't going to find one like that hardly at all now. But let's say you found this property after repair value, which is what it would be after you fixed it up, is worth $100,000. You can buy that property for $60,000. And then you stick $20,000 into it, and now that thing is at $80,000, right? Most banks, commercial lenders are a little bit different. Usually they're 75 to 80%, but they will give you a loan up to 80% of that value. Now, when I got into real estate, it was pretty cool because they would give you a loan for the rehab and that. And there's some smaller banks that will do that still. But I would buy my properties that way, where I would buy them at 60 cents on the dollar of the after repair dollar, stick $20,000 into them, hypothetically, and I would have a free house, I called it.
Okay.
So the bank would refinance me out. I'd have an $80,000 loan. I would have $0 out of pocket, and I would have $20,000 in equity. And I would repeat that process.
Would you say anything different because there was property questions with Loryn looking at property? There's a couple of questions I had about property, investing in property just by itself. Is there anything different you'd have to do there?
Like what? Say that again?
Just buying up just property, land versus just a home. Is there?
Yeah,
anything?
land's different. Generally, a lender won't allow you to buy land unless it's, unless you have 10% down, no matter what.
Okay.
Bye, Jenna. Everybody say bye to Jenna.
Bye, Jenna.
So, so land is a little bit different, but land appreciates as well. But that's more of like, hey, where are you buying this land? What's the location? Is it on water? Is it near Lambeau Field?
Yep.
Where's the land?
Right.
Cool.
Last question.
I'm gonna let you answer this one. We can both answer.
Let's
this
both
one.
answer this one. Yeah.
We can answer this
Yeah.
one. What is it like working with an alumni of the Packers?
Oh man, I'm gonna tell you what, Kevin. The first time we pretty much met, I don't know if you remember, but I think one of the first times we literally ran into each other. I'm like coming out the bathroom, and you're like, "Excuse me," you literally just almost trained me over in the hallway, and it was like, "Oh, this is Kevin. This is who I'm gonna be working with." So to be honest with you, Packers was one of those teams where I was growing up, and I was always the kid that liked everything opposite. Do you have any children in the room of yours that might do the same thing? So I was the kid that was like, I don't like the Packers. I like San Francisco. And so I wanted to give you hell right when I got in there. To be honest with you, man, it's been a fun ride already, just being able to work with you, and who knows, we're gonna be doing some big things with you, man.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's been great. I mean, I've known Kevin for 20 years now. Kevin, I used to, if any of you are a Green Bay alum and have lived here and you're old enough to know, there was a bar called Hip Cats. I used to bartend at Hip Cats. And Kevin, and Kevin would come in after games or 6 nights a week.
What?
And
That's when he's younger.
He was younger. He could handle it. He's a big guy, right? And he was never out of line or anything, but we just got chatting, and then we didn't talk to each other for a few years. And then I ran into him when I was at my previous role, helping kids in sports, and he was coaching, and we reconnected, and then he's there. But I'll tell you this, Kevin is one of the most genuinely nice, humble human beings I've ever met in my entire life, and he's a great bodyguard. So anytime somebody calls that, not just for me, but just for when stranger danger, we get a new buyer that calls in, I always have our girls go with at least a buddy. And usually if Kevin goes, I'm pretty secure.
It's like going with 2 buddies.
I don't have to worry about our girls, having any problems at a showing for the first time. So we kind of set the tone from day one. Unfortunately, Kevin's just a ride along, but it works.
And Kevin's still partying in a good way. We got the party bus rolling around.
Oh yeah, Kevin's got a party bus.
Doing some house tours. They're doing brewery tours. So speaking about that, I think we're getting right to the end. What do we got for time? Probably 5 minutes, right? So
let's go.
With that, I wanted to make sure that each and every one of you go and check out our podcast. We just started this thing. We would love to highlight community
we got 10
stories.
minutes.
All right, we'll just keep raking them then with a bunch of stuff.
Let's go.
Yeah, and then, so with that, the podcast is important because it is a community-driven podcast. We're literally highlighting those that make Green Bay area an awesome place to live. So if you have a story, everybody has a story, but if you want to share it and you want to get on a podcast and you want to hang out with us and tell about what you're doing to make this community better, contact us today. If you want to support the show, contact us today. If you just want to listen to the show, that's cool too. Then go subscribe. Outside of that, there's also some posters on your table for a cookout this weekend. So speaking about Packer alumni, the Grillin' and Chillin' Cookout is our annual barbecue. High Caliber's coming in. You see them in store with their seasonings, but they also do barbecue. So full traditional menu, Packer alumni, and we're supporting our nonprofit of the month. So why don't you talk a little bit about nonprofit of the month?
Yeah, nonprofit of the month is Green Bay Glory Youth Soccer Program, and we've one of the cool things I think that I've done, and I'm going to pat myself on the back for this, but a lot of yesterday was about, getting yourselves together, healing, right? And so one of the things I wanted to make sure of, and our last speaker, I think Tanya, right? She was talking and she gave a shout out to the men and that sort of thing. But I think the biggest thing that I've done in our brokerage that has nothing to do with real estate is I brought somebody in by the name of Brad Bordini. Brad is a mental health coach, and I've provided that for my clients, my agents, my staff, my W-2 employees.
Game changer.
It's something I'm very proud of. One, strategically, is just to help those agents get through their blocks. Everybody has blocks, and he's able to unpack a lot of that, but more or less just make sure everybody's okay. Especially the guys, like we hold a lot in, and I don't know why it dawned on me one day, but I was like, I want to do this for my team. And so we did it. And obviously the ladies have access to it as well. And but it was something that I just wanted to make sure that we do. So I'm pretty proud of that I did that.
And I'm really proud that we're a team that is showing up as we are. We have so many powerhouse people in the room. I mean, literally every person has their own business. They're an entrepreneur. They have influence. They're doing their thing. They were a fire all by themselves.
Oh, yeah. We got to get back to glory, though.
But coming back together and running that fire circle, I mean, honestly, it's pretty awesome.
And Carrie's been amazing, too. So we have an executive coach. It's called Simply Carrie. She's outstanding, and her and Brad run as a team. So she does a lot with the executive coaching side of things. And Brad does the brain makeup, the brain healing, the brain, modification, as we call it. So anyway, they're true to us. Carrie runs the Green Bay Glory youth soccer program and the Green Bay Glory men's and women's team. And you all should go check them out. They're playing at Capital Credit Union Park for their home opener tomorrow night as well.
Let's go. We're going to be there.
Go support the ladies of the Green Bay Glory. But they've been incredible, so we wanted to honor them and support them this month. So they are our nonprofit of the month, and that's something that we've done. Anthony and I talked about is focusing on a local nonprofit every single month to give them number one awareness and hopefully put a few dollars into their pocket as well.
Yes, let's go. Yeah, thank you. We had a call with somebody that has kind of a powerhouse in some other industries earlier this week, and it really reminded me of what we're doing is innovative. And I haven't felt that innovation since some of the very beginning days of starting my own nonprofit and like writing those ideas down on a napkin, right? And just getting so excited about something. And I feel that here. We're doing something different. People know what brokerages are. People know what realtors are. And we're just approaching it different by taking care of our people first.
Yeah, one thing that's crazy to me is we have so much talent in our office. Like, it's hard to say, hey, I got to make sure you guys are patient enough to wait for this ride because we're still in startup phase. Capital is a little bit of an issue right now. So it's like I got people that are worth a couple of six figures, and I'm sitting there like, I can pay like 40, 50 grand. So
we all believe in it, man.
Right.
And that's the thing. I think, one of the things that I've always heard that I've always wanted to do is if you're going to be successful, you help somebody else succeed. And I am here by your side, Monte, to help you succeed. And I just want to thank you by my heart for giving me this opportunity. You helped lit my light again. And I feel good being in this seat, and I hope we continue to do this for a long, long time.
I just want you to keep being you and do you.
That's awesome, man. So thank you guys so much. This is It's Your Neighbor Podcast, episode 25, here at Rise Up Experiences Rise Together Conference. We hope we see each and every one of you this weekend, and if not, we hope that you take care of yourself and do what you need to do to light up your life. But we are your neighbors. We love you.
Hey, let's give it up for Ashley and Loryn.
Oh, yeah.
They are our family, for real.
Let's go.
I'm so appreciative of them inviting us in. This was their idea.
Yes.
She just said, hey, do you want to speak at a conference? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, let's do the podcast. I'm like, okay.
Take the podcast live. Yes, thank you.
Thank you guys so much. You are family. Ash, Loryn, Tay, my whole entire team. Love you so much.
Yes.
And thanks so much for watching. Please give us a like, subscribe. We could use your help right now. We're a little low on algorithms, so that'll help us out
Yeah, we
a little bit.
appreciate it. All right, thank you so much, guys.